So we just got a new update for Arena Breakout Infinite, and it comes with a pretty solid list of fixes and adjustments that are actually worth going over, because some of this stuff should make the game feel a lot smoother in real matches. First off, there are a couple of fixes around the legacy knife, and I know that sounds super specific, but stuff like this matters more than people think. One issue was that the knife had no switch animation while sprinting, which means the whole flow just felt off. Another fix deals with the first two attacks, not letting you interrupt the sheathing animation properly, so chaining attacks should feel way more responsive now. For anyone who uses melee a lot or just likes having clean movement and attack timing, that is the kind of thing you notice right away. There was also a fix for the character icon showing up in the wrong position after elimination. Not exactly the biggest gameplay problem in the world, but when little visual bugs like that start stacking up, it makes the whole game feel rough around the edges. So it is good to see them cleaning that stuff up. Map changes are a big part of this update too. They fixed several bugs that were letting players reach unusual spots on Airport and Armory. That is one of those things that always ends up affecting fairness, because once a map exploit becomes common knowledge, people start using it to get angles or escape routes they were never meant to have. So closing those off is definitely the right move. On top of that, some containers on Airport were not interactable, and that has been fixed as well. That is one of those frustrating issues where you run up to loot, expect to grab something, and the game just refuses to cooperate. So yeah, good to have that addressed. There are a few quality of life improvements in here too. Character facial textures were optimized under certain graphic settings, which should help with visual performance. It is not the kind of change that jumps out at first, but if it helps the game run cleaner or keeps the image from getting messy in certain setups, that is a win. They also improved the guidance for hostile sector, solo infiltration mode, which should make it easier for players to understand what they are supposed to be doing there. And if you have ever tried to enter a raid while carrying expired items, there is now a clearer prompt warning you about that before you get stuck with a bad outcome. That is the kind of update that saves players from wasting time and losing gear over a simple mistake. Another important fix is for AI behavior. There was a problem where an enemy's on-screen position could look wrong when they were right peeking from behind cover, which is brutal because that kind of thing can make gunfights feel inconsistent or unfair. If the enemy appears in one place visually but is actually somewhere else, that messes with your reaction time and makes it hard to trust what you are seeing. So fixing that should make combat feel more reliable. They also corrected the voice lines for the Federal Agent and the Crimson Espionage when the second face model was used. That is a smaller detail, sure, but it adds to the polish. When cosmetics or character variants are in the game, people expect them to work cleanly all the way through, including the audio and presentation side of things. Little mismatches like that can be distracting, so it is nice that they caught it. Now for the bigger adjustments. The entry requirement for TV station melee only combat has been raised from 150,000 to 200,000. That means players need to bring in more value before entering, so this mode is getting a stricter gate than before. That kind of change can affect how people build out their loadouts and what they bring into the match, so it is worth paying attention to if you play that mode regularly. The settlement multipliers for the top rankings in airport supplies drops also got adjusted. First place went from 1.4 to 2.0, and second place went from 1.2 to 1.5. So the top finishers are getting a better reward share now, which should make those placements feel more meaningful. That kind of tweak can change how competitive a mode feels, because when the rewards improve at the top, people care a little more about pushing for those higher spots instead of just finishing somewhere in the middle. Then there is the Assault Dagger, Resident Evil Ver getting some tuning, its blade orientation and model scale were adjusted, and its base damage and armor damage were also brought in line with the standard Assault Dagger. So basically, they are making sure the special version matches the intended combat values while also looking and fitting the way it is supposed to in game. That is the sort of balancing pass that keeps special weapons from feeling weirdly inconsistent compared to their regular counterparts. So overall, this update is really about tightening things up. It is not one of those giant flashy overhauls, but it hits a lot of the stuff that matters in the day-to-day experience. Better animations, fewer map exploits, clearer warnings, cleaner AI behavior, and a few balance tweaks that should matter once players start getting hands-on with the changes. That is the kind of patch that does not always look huge at first, but in actual matches, it can make the game feel a lot more polished and a lot less frustrating.